Hey guys, today's Saturday, April 12th of 2025. In this video, we're going to cover full spectrum cycle analysis, looking at both the weekly and daily charts. We'll also touch on seasonality and bring LA wave theory to tie everything together. Let's start with the weekly spectrum chart, which is built using the 15 years of historical data. The most important cycle to focus on here is the 211 weekly cycle, which is projected to peak around November 17th, 2025. So if you're thinking long term, this date range, late October into November, is one to keep on your radar, especially when it lines up with key resistance or pivot level. Remember, these are dynamic cycles, so the exact timing could shift slightly earlier or later. But as we approach that November window, it's a potential turning point worth monitoring closely. Now let's move to the daily spectrum chart based on 5 to 6 years worth of data. This is where things get interesting. There are two key cycles here, and they're not exactly in sync with what we usually see from seasonal trends in natural gas. First, we have the 254 daily cycle, which is currently pointing towards a peak around July 9th of 2025. That would suggest higher prices into July. However, seasonality data using 5, 10, 15, and 20 years of historical data typically shows that July is a weak month for natural gas. So this creates a bit of a divergence. Cycle says up, seasonality says down. On the other hand, we also have the 329 daily cycle, which peaked on February the 20th of 2025 and is now trending downward into August 18 of 2025. But according to seasonality, August is historically a strong month. Again, we're seeing the spectrum cycle and seasonality move in opposite directions. At first, I was leaning more towards the 329 cycle, but now I'm keeping an eye on both to see which one starts to assert itself more clearly. Now let's bring in Elliott wave theory. As of today, it looks like we're in a potential wave 4 on the daily chart. The recent low of $3.32 on April 9th might be the completion of that wave 4. If that's correct, we could be on the verge of starting a bullish wave 5. If that's the case, the 254 cycle makes sense, pointing to higher prices into April and potentially continuing through July, aligning with a complete wave 5 pattern. However, the 329 cycle ends up dominating, then we might still see a short-term rally into April or May, possibly completing a wave 5 earlier, and then begin an ABC correction that takes us lower into August. So in summary, the weekly cycles remain bullish into November. On the daily chart, we are watching two competing cycles. The 254 cycle is bullish into July. The 329 cycle is bearish into August. Seasonality contradicts both to some extent. July is usually weak. August is usually strong. Elliott wave suggests we may have just completed wave 4 and could be heading into a wave 5 rally. I know, it's a big mixed bag. But that's what makes this setup so intriguing. Whichever it plays out, just keep in mind that cycles can shift and July and August might not behave in line with expectations. We'll continue to monitor price action closely and adjust as the picture becomes clearer. Thanks for watching, and I'll keep you posted on my thoughts on nat gas.